You're laughing your ass off at my team.
There's also
shut up. He's going to be the number one overview player for this year in the
no chance.
Maybe besides Dylan Moore.
No chance.
Okay. No, Cornwall's got Dylan Moore. That's it.
No chance. There's no chance.
I don't like his release. I stopped talking about it.
I didn't say it once, but since you brought it up. Francis!
I just got
Francis!
I just got concussed.
Doesn't care.
Tom Mitchell doesn't tug on the ball. Thomas kicks the winning goal and he got 140. Vice captain right now.
Welcome back, you fuckers. I'm here with SuperCoach Pro, and I am Geordie. How you going, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. How are you? Look, I've got Conor McGregor in the house today, so yeah, sort of suits the mood.
Yeah, the mood. Mate, I see you jumped in rank. You went up about, 50 ranks since last week?
Yeah, instead of 2 scrolls, we're now just 1 scroll away from that top. So, yeah. Yeah, we're 79.
We got the new leaderboard here in our SuperCoach Masters podcast. I've taken top spot, picking off Jamie. I got out Ashcroft, Long and Kako, brought in the Wanganeen, Malira, Butters, and I needed a forward play under 120k, so I got that dud Archer, mate. I pretty much got what I expected. I actually expected him to be subbed off, so I got that dud. Couldn't get Johnson rest, then I couldn't have got Wanganeen, Malira, then I had to bring in a forward. So Jamie got rid of Ashcroft and Lindsay, only done the 2 trades, and Butters and DeWar he brought in. Matty, mate. So Matty traded out Clary Oliver, who he brought in about 2 weeks ago, and Kako, and brought in Charlie Curnow. He brought in Charlie Curnow. He wanted some good scores. I told him on the phone, I go, Matty, about this time last year, I brought in Curnow, ruined my season. Don't do it. There's so many better forward options. He's like, nah. I'm an idiot. And, so he brought in Curnow, he got 46, and he got Butters and Zach Johnson. But enough about the 3 duds on the left. Let's talk about the stud on the right, who's ranked 79. Big Shaz O'Neill has left the building. In comes Georgie Hewitt, Zach Johnson, TDK, and Elijah Hewitt and Lindsay went out, mate. Pretty happy with those trades.
Yeah, pretty happy. Like, everyone's going Butters, so when you zig, you got to zag the other way, I think in top 1%. So, yeah, I just thought maybe Butters would cop a little bit of attention and Hewitt's never going to get attention. So hopefully that plays out long term for me. But, yeah, finally some good trades, no Shannon Neals and shit like that. So, yeah, no, it's a good one for me this week.
Mate, it's pretty good that while she's out for 5 to 6 weeks, you think Hewitt's just going to be bloody the number 1 midfielder there, even, probably before Cripper in there. So, he's going to be a good pick for you. If he gets no attention, it's going to be great. So you end up going, because you've got to think of Hewitt and Butters. You decided to go TDK over Butters in the end. Is that the kind of deciding factor?
Yeah, I could have done that as well, but I wanted TDK in the flex, so I wanted to have the 3 big dogs because that top 100 pretty much all has Cherry, Gawn, and TDK, and it also meant by bringing in TDK this week, if I wanted to use Gawn's money and a rookie off field, I could put TDK to R2. So it's a bit more of a 2-week play as well if I wanted to do that, just see how the week goes leading up to it.
Well, I am excited and ready to see what this week's going to bring, mate. I have no idea what your trades are going to be. I have no idea what my trades are going to be. We're going to find out together. So this is my really shit team. If you look at it very carefully, we've got Sinclair, Ash, Whitfield, the Wang, Zorko, Roberts with Carroll and Clark on the bench. That's pretty solid. Roberts is a bit of a spud. Dawson Butters, Sarong, Rao, Dacos. I'm playing 2 defenders in here for some DPPs, but not much movement. Cordwell's doing what he does for the price I got him at. These 3 are just dead rookies. Sherry DeConing, and we've got Petrarca, Horn Francis, who hurt his shoulder's gone for scans. We haven't got the results of those scans back just yet. McRae come back to Warner, Daniel, and the Rancone, who's playing like shit. And 2 dead rookies here with Marshall and Flex, mate. That's my team. I could probably leave it. I've got 7 trades and 24k. What are your thoughts on the team, mate?
Yeah, it's coming along really nicely for you anyway. Sort of just pivoting around that 2K for the last few weeks now. So, yes, a solid side. You might need a pot or 2, but are you planning to go down to 5 trades? Because I wouldn't be wanting to go down any less than 4 coming out of the buyers. What are your thoughts so far?
Well, mate, let's go. Let's get our fucking Myers bags, get our credit cards, and let's go shopping because see what we're going to find here because I think we should start at the rookies because there's a couple of really good ones that have come in and you can't dig unless you zag with some rookies coming in. So McCarthy obviously is the highest averaging player in the competition after 1 game. more than Gordon and Sherry. 133. We need to grab him. It's just a matter of when. Are we going to grab him now for no apparent reason because he's got the bye? Or we're going to grab him next week, he still has to go up, or we're going to grab him on his very last week? I guess it kind of depends, mate. What's your Tom McCarthy plan?
I think I've got to get him in and go down to 5 trades, or go 1 up and 1 down and go to 4 trades and make an upgrade elsewhere. Not that I really need one, but I think McCarthy might do sort of a similar to a bias where at start of the games you might go, that 90s average, and then he might regress as the teams get to figure him out a little bit. But he was on 10 kick-ins, so for 10. So kick-out duties for a rookie is always gold for us, but you're probably not going to be able to sell out in round 20 anyway, because you probably have no trades to go sideways. So it's probably your perfect loop D7, or worst case, if you've got no coin, you've been kissed here for your D6.
Yeah, I think that could be the play. I can't believe already 10% of people are having before they've even seen him. That is crazy. Look, it's going to be a good play, but for those who have Carroll and Clark, they still can make a bit more money. You can wait a little bit before he goes up if you need to squeeze every penny. If you don't, just get him in as soon as he's playing the week after. In the meantime, we've got Madden. If your structure allows for that, get him. I'm not going to say trade Harry Boyd to him. Your thoughts on that?
I think it's a waste of trade, especially if you've got Boyd, because you're trading him out. So you're trading him in, then you're going to trade him back out again. You're already on, probably single-digit trades. Probably not worth the move unless you've got, a Sims at R3 where you can move to the forward line. That would make more sense. But, yeah, you're probably not bothering with Madden at all.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be bothering with him. Maybe if you got Archie Reed and you in your forward, I don't know. I wouldn't be bothering because there's also the risk of Briggs coming back, and he also has the bye. So a couple of forward Hawk downgrades available next week for us, with Butler getting a 70 and Ramsey getting a 65. They're both averaging around 60. Could be interesting looking at them if we need a forward downgrade. Zach Johnson absolutely killed it. He's one that I had to kind of fade because I needed to get a midfielder and a defender in. So I had to kind of miss him. So he's kind of going to be a painful one to watch. Hopefully he slows down. I got this big stinky dud instead. And 37, that's not too bad. Jack Martin, what are your thoughts on Jack Martin playing backline only at the Cats? Got it coming off a 79.
No thoughts on him whatsoever. He's too injury prone for me. The role's probably there, but he's made of plastic, so I probably wouldn't entice that trade. I think you're just waiting for a McCarthy off his bye at this point than a Jack Martin type.
Yeah. How if you need someone up forward? So would you be waiting for a Ramsden or a Butler, or would you prefer a Jack Martin?
Probably in the order of Butler, Martin, and then Ramsden.
Like that, mate. Completely agree with that. Liddy, I enjoyed the stockings, but no interest SuperCoach-wise?
Yeah, none. Yeah.
Harry Roaston looked pretty good. He was on fire in the midfield. He did have a bit of a quiet first game. I think he was sub. So Harry Roaston's second game, he got 79 SuperCoach. Any interest in him, or if you need a midfield rookie, or if you already grabbed that McCarthy, 18 touches, 6 tackles, do we like Roaston at all?
Yeah, I mean, if you went McCarthy this week, then Rouston seems to be the guy to go for. I think he's probably the rookie of choice for the week, I reckon.
Now, mate, there's no other rookies I really want to talk about. Just a couple that you've had a look at beforehand. But, yeah, I think that's pretty much it for rookies. We don't need too many. We need more upgrades than rookies. So anyone else that you want to talk about from the rookie section?
No, I think you've covered off the ones that are relevant to us anyway.
Now, let's go shopping. Now, I don't want to say, let's just look at the Luke Jacksons and the Gorns and the Sherrys and everyone over 600. Let's start looking at someone who's a really good price. I say that, but Brayshaw is a really good price now if you want to grab and pay us. But is there any particular players that you've been looking at that you think is a really good price that you want to bring in? And don't say Prestia or something like that.
Probably Whitfield now that the role seems to be back. He's one at 545. It's probably more value than all these other guys, but he's got his buy. So are you talking about guys that already had their buy, or guys that just bring in general? Because we're probably talking about the guys that just had their buy.
Well, I think if you bring in someone and you're chasing rank, I don't know if you're going to bring in a Whitfield just before his buy when there's
I agree.
Three other buys of players that are coming through that might be a good inclusion. Like you know, you got your Clark, if you need the defenders, I think Jordan Clark's a fantastic pick. Max Holmes has been 2 150s in a row, and I wouldn't recommend picking him up, number one, because of the price, two, because of the buy. Like you said, George Hewitt that you picked up, he went down another 6K and he's playing North Melbourne. I think he's a terrific pickup in the midfield.
I think Nas at 527K. I'm sure a lot of teams have him, but he's priced pretty nicely as well.
Now, I know Merritt got his CBA roll back, and even though he only scored 100, he's got to break into 129. He's one to watch. If you can get another 100, he goes down to 12K. I think that's a really good price for Merritt, given he's playing in the midfield role. You said you had him in your team, and he needed to turn up to stay in your team. What are your thoughts on Merritt now?
Yeah, the role was definitely back from the eye test, so I haven't checked his CBA spike or whatever, but yeah, everyone's going to get him for cheap. When I paid 600K for him, which was pretty ridiculous considering everyone grabbed Dacos that week for 170. So yeah, he's definitely a bargain. Again, he's got his buy coming up anyway, but he's probably your M8. You don't want too many of those sort of skeptical midfielders now. So if you've got a pretty stacked midfield and you just need a desperation pick, he's probably one of them. But he's certainly looked good on the weekend. He's got Richmond in a couple of weeks' time too.
If you have Josh Dunkley in your team, he still has his buy. He seems like the player they chuck up forward when they lose someone down there. They seem like the person they use for tags. Is Josh Dunkley someone we can trade out as a luxury trade? Getting rid of him, he's going to miss a game, and he's playing like absolute shit. He did score 120 last week, but it wasn't with amazing, break down the house kind of stats. So if we look at Josh Dunkley, he only had 20 touches that game as well. So
how many sub-tons is that now for the year then in total?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not too many. It's only 5, but it's more the recent form. Like his last 4 games, hasn't broken really 21 touches. So
I think him and Neil will be trade out targets. I think as Neil's a bit of a tag target, and then when he hasn't been tagged, he's been scoring like shit. But then also on the flip side of that, Dunkley's playing forward or playing, more of a stoppage role against some sort of player. So, I mean, you look at Dunkley's average, he's averaging 107. Neil's actually only averaging 104. So Neil's probably more of a concern, but that 107's probably a little bit fattened to that 170 that he scored in the start of the year. So, 3-round average for Dunkley is 89, which is pretty poor, and 5-round average is 94, and then Neil's 94 average is around for the last 3 games. So, yeah, both are probably guys you could buy flip, but I'm not buy flipping those guys unless they've got a quote-unquote full primo side. But I can see where people are stacked that they're the first couple guys to go. It makes sense. I get it.
Yeah. Well, personally, if I think I had Dunkley and as a luxury, I could get rid of him. I'd rather keep Neil, even though he's a bit of a tag target. He'd probably get tagged by Mullen or some other Geelong idiot or Atkins or, Connor, whoever. They got about 400 taggers in their team. And then just let Bailey Smith and Holmes do whatever they want. They'll probably run with Neil, but that being said, I'd rather keep Neil over Dunkley at this stage. Cordwell was a nice little pickup 2 rounds ago. He's got 4 tons in a row. But there's not much to talk about in terms of real bargain players that are ready to be picked up, except there's Callum Mills. Now, you already got Millsy.
Yep.
He's a bit injury prone. Let's be real. Should people be targeting Mills this week at 357K, given that a lot of the primos are falling to a pretty cheap price as they are?
Well, if I knew McCarthy was going to bang out the score he did, I probably wouldn't have gone Mills in hindsight. So probably not. I think you just wait 200K cheaper or whatever it is, even more than that potentially, and grab McCarthy for a similar sort of role. I don't know. If you went McCarthy early and you need a D6, I think Mills is probably a better shout than a McKercher or those kind of type of players, because at least he's got the scoring history in the past, whereas Kircher was never really proven. I think Mills would be a solid sort of 90-ish guy. I just don't have an exact landing on where I actually think he ends up in that 90-ish mark. I think he'll be a fair way off the top 20, but he'll just be a good guy that sort of your flex will knock out his score anyway if he does go, sub-ton.
A bit unlucky for Colby McKercher owners. It looked like a pretty good pick. He had his rollback, that's what you want. Not the score you want. I don't know if you watched the game, completely wet, raining. He had 24 kicks and 3 handballs. That's 27 touches for a 60. So I gather if he has these kind of stats, again in that same role, he'll be scoring a lot higher this week that's coming. So if you had Colby McCurcher, don't panic. I think he's still going to be a pretty good pick. I still think you can even pick him up if you wanted to, because he's still 409k, and you got 2 games worth of data. He hasn't hurt you for the other people getting him, or getting another 130. But I'd say another 120 waiting to happen. He had more kickings than Claire Daniel.
I'd probably wait until his break evens reset itself, because you've probably got another week or two to look at this now. And sure, the roll's there. Like, what, break even's 36. So what has he got to project it at the moment?
He's got a projected of 82. So if he gets around, say, 100 or 120, like we think he's going to pop off maybe against Carlton, less like that McCarthy did. If he gets, say, about 120, he's going to go up about, what, 35 grand or something like around the 40. So he will reset when they had 100 but if he gets another good score, we've seen 2 games of him in defence. I mean, I don't hate the Colby McCurcher pick this week, so I still think he's a pretty good picking.
Yeah, I can see the merits of it now, but I think, last week was the play. Now, odd 400k, I'd rather chuck 110k on top of that and grab a Naz pick, or a guy that's sitting at 530 and use DPP to put Rose E back into your defence. So I just think, I think too many mid-prices. We saw what Doherty did. We saw the only ones that really popped off was Bergman and Keys out of all those mid-price madness players. So for me, after seeing the Kurger thing, if he does that again, like, you'd be pretty pissed off. Is that at the MCG or Marvel? Because if it was at MCG, I'd probably rather it be at Marvel to pick McCurcher up under the roof.
That was at Perth, but that he played that game. But yeah,
the one he's playing this week though is what I meant. Sorry.
I think McCurcher is a guaranteed ton this week. Guaranteed ton.
So he's playing at the MCG for that game as well.
Yeah, okay. So what's the weather like? Now, we're going to check the weather. So get McCurcher, he's a great pick. I mean, if you do have an under 110k sitting around, I completely agree with you. But this kind of the season, maybe we don't have all the best rookies. Maybe we're squeezing every penny. I certainly don't have 110k to get another 500k primo. But if you do, I'm completely all for just making sure of it, putting it into him, finishing your team with a Wanganeen Malero or a Jordan Clark or a Whitfield or something like a top line primo. But if you can't afford it, I don't hate it. I don't.
The Sunday is due for rain, and he's playing on the Saturday at the MCG, so it's probably a good shout. If the weather was the Sunday weather for the Saturday game, you probably wouldn't pick him up in the way after seeing what he's done. But he plays Carlton on a day that's not raining, so it's probably maybe it is worth a shout. But like you said, people don't have enough money to grab these players, so they're going to get a McCurcher, who's a bit of a fun-sized Mars bar pick rather than your Mars bar double or something like that.
Yeah, good analogy, mate. Someone hungry. I think, and Carlton also historically kicks a massive amount of behinds. So I think they average the most behinds in the league. Don't quote me on that. So that's good kickings for Kleb and McCurcher, who good sign that McCurcher took more than Kleb Daniel if you're an owner. However, let's talk about Dylan Moore. Any interest? 162 pumped out. No interest in Dylan?
I'll leave the chat if we talk about Dylan Moore. I'm kidding. Nah, not for me, man. No.
All right. Well, they're saying he's averaged 82.9, and his last 2 or 3 years has averaged 95. Could be a comeback. Any interest after the bye, go ahead. But, hey, some of us can't afford fucking 600 and 500k primos, mate. We have to look fucking somewhere else.
I just think there's there's probably a few other better choices. I'd rather pay up after his buy for Ben Keys, who's a little bit more expensive, isn't he?
He's a loser. What's he cost? Tell me what he cost.
452 with a 3-round average of 100 and something. He's been unreal. I should have jumped on him at 350 like I thought I would have.
452. He's more expensive than Rankin and Roberts.
Because he's a better player at the moment. His work rate's incredible. He's got Richmond after the bye, doesn't he?
Oh, come on. What role is he playing as a small forward? 18 touches, 2 goals. 20 touches, 3 goals. 17 touches, 3. He's a small forward that's kicked a couple of bags.
And you're talking about Dylan Moore that's a similar role. So they both play a high half-forward role.
Yeah, but Dylan Moore's way better than Keith.
Not this year. Dylan Moore only got that score because of the CBA spike. If you think he'll stick, you probably go there. But, yeah, I don't know. Again, you're probably looking at Sam Darcy, Horn Francis, and Jack McRae for an extra 50, 60K in reality. If you can afford it, haven't blown up your team for 600K primos.
Now let's talk about someone that's real sexy. Sam Darcy takes the ball at the absolute highest point, probably better than every option we've spoken about so far. Coming off that injury, 4.6, 1,000. He's still got a pretty big break even, 147. But if you wanted to go early, I'm not a big fan of going early, but if you wanted to go early, they got Richmond. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't think Bolter is going to be missing with a curfew. But I don't think that matters because he made Wilkie look really shit last weekend. Thoughts?
I'm pretty sure Darcy's like 208 and Bolter's about 194. So I think Ben Miller's 198, so he'll probably be a better matchup for Darcy. But Darcy's either going to score 7 or score 1 this week because Ben Miller's done a really good job on key forwards this year. But Sam Darcy takes it at its highest point under the roof as well. Even if you waited a week, you'd only save yourself 15, 20 grand anyway. So I think it's worth the shout against Richmond for a spike score in best 18. You're picking him any day. I wouldn't wait for it.
I love him to finish your forward line. He's a great price. You can even wait a week if you need to, but go early. If I had cash, I could even go Rankin to him if I need a last minute, kind of primo to, another player just to get another good score if, the best 18 isn't looking too good. But, I think he's a good one. I think another one we need to talk about is the Bont because the Bont got tagged. He got tagged real hard, like a real good tag. Now he's got a break even at 177, but it's Richmond. Would you go early on the Bont if you didn't have him? I know you don't have him because you got Richmond.
I absolutely would because it's still the Bont and he does play the Tigs. If you look at his 3-game history against the Tigs, he's actually scored really well. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be pissing down rain that game as well. So it might not be as enticing as what we first thought. I'm pretty sure Sunday's going to be pretty wet. Actually, that should be it. Is that at Marvel, sorry?
It's at Marvel. Got a roof over their head.
Well, then never mind. Yeah, it's definitely Bont season or any Bulldogs season player.
Now, his break-even was 177. Okay, people went early and his break-even was 130 last week and he got a 66.
Well Camden McIntosh isn't going to... He can, but he's going 140. He's your captain option this week anyway.
He is a captain option. Yeah, so if he does get a 108, which would be a very modest score against Richmond, he will lose another 30K, putting down to 557.
Yeah, I don't know how much money the people have, I guess, but I'd still go there. Like, I could get Gawn and Roberts into Butters and Bont this week if I wanted to.
That's going all in on a 2-7. But no, I understand where you're coming from because you need to just get some massive points on the field. And does it matter how well your other players are scoring? Because if your other players are pumping out hundreds, there's a less kind of need to sideways your primos on these buys to catch other players because some of them might not make the best, 18. And if they do, that's just, 20 points more than loss. For example, I had Marshall not in my best 18 this week and he scored an 80. So if I brought in sideways an extra primo that wasn't playing like Roberts to someone else and they got 100, that's only an extra 20 points.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why you don't sideways primos for buys anyway, unless they're not playing and you don't think you need them for the rest of the season because you picked up a better player that's going to, put 10 points on him each week. Then that makes more sense. So, yeah, for me, you probably just want to upgrade your whole entire side before sidewaysing. But how many trades do you think is viable coming out of the buys? Like, I want to at least have 4 after round 16 because we've still got 8 rounds after that. And we saw a couple of weeks ago how some teams had Finn, McRae, and Horn Francis all in the same week. That's 3 trades people might blow in 1 week. So that's what's scary about me for going down to 4.
Yeah, mate. I think 4 at the very, very, very least, and just hope that the injuries are minor because, I had Roberts, McRae, Callahan all in the same week. And I kept all of those. And then I had Roberts, which I kept him as well. But if I traded all those guys out, And that happened. That was only in a 4-week span. We still got a bit of, SuperCoach left. So ideally, I'd want 4 very worst case scenario, but 5 and upwards would be ideal. Yep. What are you sitting on? Are you sitting on 7 at the moment?
Sitting on 6 with Mills at D6 and Roberts at D5, but what is it? DeConning at flex. So hence why I'm sitting where I'm at. I think I upgraded to 1 primo early each week than every other team that went sideways this season. So for me, I think people will catch you in the buy with best 18. The buy doesn't help a side like mine at all. Like I went down the first couple of buys because I was so rounds 12 and 13 heavy. And then I copped a Baz and a Roberts out in one of those rounds as well, which really stuffed me. But this week was a bounce back for me. But yeah, on paper, the side looks solid. But I've still got stupid players like Rankin and Chad Warner and, skeptical players. And I think every team out of the best 22 will have at least, 4 or 5 shitty picks, which is hard because you can't sideways them all. So you're kind of stuck with your Boltons and players like that. And at least I don't have Shannon Moore anymore.
All right. Yeah. So So you're going to have to keep Cordwell. Obviously, you could keep Inchera. You're going to keep Roberts, obviously, because you've held him for 2 games now. And Mills is going to be kind of your final product. But so it's pretty much a finished team if you consider Mills to be a finished product. So knowing that, what's your first kind of upgrade in this team that you want to happen?
Well, yeah, perfect segue. So I'm probably holding trades this week, and then next week, if you scroll up, I'll probably get rid of Clark for McCarthy and loop Mills and McCarthy at D6 with Leak sitting at D8 for the loop. McCarthy should play the late games on a Sunday because it's West Coast we're talking about. So it gives me 2 cracks at D6. And then if Roberts is my worst score, which I assume he will be most weeks, TDK will knock out D5. So for me, a bit of a chess game here. I'm probably sitting on my hands, keeping Gorn because people are going to use his money and I can just keep him sitting at average at 130 because people are overthinking his fixture, I reckon, here.
Yeah, so have you tinkered with downgrading Gorn to like a 500k primo, and then that's your bunch of spending money where you could get maybe another primo later on, or is that not something you've considered?
Well, McCarthy sort of ruined that plan. I thought, well, what's the point now? McCarthy could be a 90s guy or even close to a ton if you get kicks out. So I sort of thought I could go Gorn and Roberts and finish off the side with TDK in R2. Bont would be flex and Butters would be M8 or whatever. And it'd mean Rosie would go down to my back line instead of Roberts. But then that would leave me with 4 trades and I couldn't grab McCarthy the week after. So McCarthy's come in clutch just as a bit of a spare loop for D6. So for me, I'm probably sitting on my trades, and after the buys, I'm going to have 5 spare trades and hope that everyone in the top 100's only got 1 or 2 because they've just played so aggressive like myself.
Yeah, I think that's a go-to. So ideally, for my shit team, I would love to have this Roberts into a Max Holmes eventually, but that's not going to happen. It's probably the least likely thing to happen, especially with McCarthy for one of these boys, and they'll be looping with them or just playing one of them if there's no loops. Ideally, in the 4th line, I'd love to have Baz, and I'd love this Marshall to be gone. But other than that, besides a Bont, they're the players I kind of would love to. That's ideally, 7 trades, I'd get another Bont in, and I'd get Max Gorn in, and get Bailey Smith back, but that's not going to happen. So I'm just going to kind of sit in my hands, see what unfolds the next couple of weeks with injuries. I was thinking about maybe sprucing up this shit bench, because if one of these players misses 1 week, it's going to be a bit of a problem, especially because of the limited amount of loops with the forward line this has. So these are all, loopable. These rucks are pretty locked in to their 3 ruck combo. So I kind of want to have at least a playing rookie. I was thinking of even going Hoosweight for Zach Johnson just to get a player that's playing, that's scoring relatively well without, obviously it would have been ideal to get him last week, but I didn't know Hoosweight was going to pump out a 4. So I don't know, man. I think I'm just going to maybe spruce the bench, maybe get McCarthy the week after and just roll with that team and see where it takes me. Yeah,
well, you got 7 trades, so you could probably do that. I probably wouldn't go Hoosweight to Johnson. I'd rather Hustweight down to McCarthy or maybe, Hustweight down to Ralston, and at least you're making money that way because he'll be on the bubble. And then grab a McCarthy and go down to 5 trades potentially.
Yeah, I just think Zach Johnson's got such more fieldable or even loopable potential than what Ralston's going to give. And it's at the point where I'm sort of don't really need money. It's just I want to need warm bodies on the field and injuries. So, McCarthy back here for one of these guys. Maybe Zach Johnson. I'll probably maybe do what you said to get McCarthy here. I haven't decided yet. Then I got someone playing here that's good, someone playing here that's going to be good, and hopefully no injuries, mate. But this is what I'm rolling with. It's going to be interesting to see where it takes me.
Yeah, on that too, what's your BC and C plan this week?
That is a very good question, mate, because I was hoping you could shed some light on this because it's a pretty tough one. No Gawn, which I love because I'm not a Gawn owner, but I do have Dorso out, which is probably my best midfielder, besides Butters. But look, you got to look at Sherry against, De Koning. So I'm going to have Sherry's still going to be in the plans. I heard he hurt his ankle, but I haven't seen anything conclusive yet. So I'm going to back Sherry in for a vice captain. But as for captain, man, I really don't know. If I had the Bonds, it would be a no-brainer. If I had even Ed Richards, it would be a no-brainer. If I had Sam Darcy and I'm feeling kind of kinky, I'd probably do that as well.
Oh man, you don't have Bazelinka, do you?
I don't have Bazelinka. I do think Brayshaw was a good play against Essendon at Freo, or at Optus Stadium, which is Freo. But I think I could trust a Brayshaw vice captain over a Sarong vice captain every day of the week. And
if I'm you, I'm going Sarong into Cherry for your side.
Nah, Sarong has not provided many captainable scores. I think maybe 3 for the year. Check this out. So he's got 142 against the Dogs. Oh, sorry, 2. 2 captain scores out of 13 games. 142 and 142 against, North and the Dogs. Other than that, he hasn't scored more than 117.
Let me check the weather for Optus Stadium on a Thursday, because if it's a wet game, you're going Sarong for sure.
I am not. Look at this. 77, 104, 104. His recent record against the Bombers is pretty average. You take away this game, and you wouldn't even think... if you take away the game he just played, he has not got a captain score since round 4. It's a no for me. It's a no for me. I'm not even bothering. I'd rather go Zach Butters with a potential Sydney tag than Sarong. That being said, he could very well do it, but, Butters 164 against the Swans last time they played and 132 last year. So,
would you consider Cherry into Naz?
Who's St Kilda playing? Collingwood.
They points to defenders.
I don't think there's enough. I think Nav's a safe ton, but I don't think he has enough powerful upside. 120 is fine, but I want to kind of go up the ranks. I want to hit at someone who's got 140. Yeah. I probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'd rather do Sinclair than Naz.
It's a hard week for your side in particular for captains, to be honest. You've only got Cherry. And then, there's not really any standouts for your side.
Sinclair is not too bad.
That's why I probably prefer taking a gamble on one of those players before the North Melbourne game, because at least you've got a safe C and Cherry. But if I'm you, I'm looking at that, I don't know, the games before Cherry, because at least Cherry's a safe captain fallback. I wouldn't want to VC Cherry and then captain somebody that I'm not particularly hot on. So that's why I'd rather a punt on the Sarong or a punt on, probably not that Brisbane game for yourself. Pity you don't have Bazelinka, or I'd say Bazelinka to Cherry for you.
That is a nice pick, mate. But I think I found it out. I think it's going to be vice captain Cherry, because I want to see what he scores. I want to see that score first, because if he gets the 140 against De Koning, I want to see it. Then I'm just going Captain Butters, and I'm backing him in with good recent form against the Swans. If he gets tagged, so be it. I think that's what I'm going for. And I'm just going to hope Lady Luck is with me for this one. What about yourself, mate? You going a Baz into Sherry?
Oh, for my side?
Yeah.
Sorry, no, I'm going Brayshaw into Ed Richards for me.
Ooh, avoiding the ruckman. I like it. Ed Richards is a very nice pick. If you had the Bont, would you go Bont over Richards?
Nah, I'd probably still go Richards, actually, I reckon. I think Richards will just get 40 and kick 2, whereas I think Bont maybe get 25 and kick 3. I reckon, I just reckon Richards will run all day and kill us, whereas Bont might have, at stoppage, you might have a Taranto type and a Hopper type that might try to tackle him, whereas Richards is too skillful and too clean to, I don't know, I just think he's another level against our midfielders where I reckon they can keep up with the Bont a little bit, that explosion. So for me, Richards is just a way better pick this year. I don't know, I just think Richards is an absolute pod. He's what's kept me in the top 100, actually.
Yeah, Richards has been a great pick, mate, and so is Brayshaw. I look at his targeted ads. Is it ADHD or high IQ? That's totally me. Bont, I just think he's like a volcano. He's just ready to erupt. He hasn't got like this massive 180 yet. I don't think he's really coming close to being due. I hope he holds off a bit, but yeah, look. That being said, mate, we'll see how the scores pan out. If there are a couple that are not looking too good, I might go one of these underperforming forward primos into Darcy and then put the C on him.
Yeah, no, that's fair call, mate. So, yeah, all of it. Hopefully you can get in top 1K and smash Jamie and Matty as well.
Yeah, I'll smash them easy. They're pretty shit. Mostly Matty. Jamie's all right. Jamie's actually got a really good team. He's got a really good rookies. Matty's just hopeless. He's not listening to anything I'm saying. But, guys, thanks for tuning in. How's your team going? Let me know your trades. We'd love to shit all over them. If you haven't grabbed yourself a Polo, do that. If you haven't seen or watched SuperCoach Pro's videos, do that. He spits all these pearls 24/7. So go to his profile and subscribe. ScPro, anything else to add before we end the potty?
Nah, that's it. Thanks again for having me, mate. And, yeah, good luck this week. Hopefully you go well and score an 1800.
Yeah, let's hope you break the top 50 this week and see how we go, mate.
All right, thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
All right, anytime, brother.
See you, bro.